Hey guys, welcome back to The Binger. It won't be long until Stranger Things 3 hits our screens. The Duffer Brothers series has been turning our worlds inside out and upside down since 2016. With the perfect mix of sci-fi and drama, the show is an award-winning hit that we cannot get enough of. What better time to look back on the last 2 seasons and reflect on the craziest episodes we've been gifted so far? Join us, if you're brave enough, that is. Chapter 4, Season 1, The Body. Audiences fell in love with Eleven and her innocent yet powerful personality. In the first season of the show, the youngster helped the boys get revenge on their bullies. In this episode, she forces Troy to wet himself in front of all of his classmates. The students are in assembly when the principal pays homage to Will, who is assumed deceased at that point. Mike and the gang notice Troy laughing across the way, leading Mike to confront them. Mike attempts to deal with the situation himself, but Eleven stops him. That's when she throws in the bladder issues as an added bonus. It's a simple scene, but it lays the foundation for Mike and Eleven's blossoming friendship. Chapter 4 may not be the most exciting installment of Season 1, but it has its moments. One of Brenner's workers goes through the upside down while connected to a wire before being snatched by the monster waiting on the other end. He doesn't come back. Not all of them, anyway. There's a lot of pivotal things happening that builds the tension for future episodes. Chapter 4, Season 2, Will the Wise. Season 2 focused heavily on Will's recovery following his rescue from the Upside Down. Everyone thought that the nightmare was over, but it was only just beginning. Scarred by his time in the awful alt-reality, Will continued to have visions that grew in intensity. This all came to a head in Chapter 4, Will the Wise. Every vision was worse than the last, taking him into the Upside Down where he could feel something coming. It wasn't until he had won at school that we got to see the big, shadowy menace in all its glory. For a show heavily inspired by Stephen King, the Mind Flayer is on point. Huge, domineering, and with spider-like limbs, it really is the stuff of nightmares. Will tries to do what his stepdad told him and confronts the monster, but the Mind Flayer just takes it as an invitation. It seeps into Will's body, taking over and driving him to the point of insanity. It's an incredible moment full of harrowing imagery and epic special effects. Meanwhile, his friends find him in a totally catatonic state, but Joyce is able to revive him. Noah Schnapp plays the part of Will so beautifully that it's devastating to watch. It's easy to forget that these actors are still so incredibly young. Schnapp is just 14 now, so he would have been about 12 years old when the series started shooting. I've got milk in my fridge older than these guys, yet they have more acting talent in their pinkies than some Hollywood vets. The episode also explores the father-daughter dynamic between Eleven and Hopper. After she leaves the cabin and returns, Hopper tells her she's grounded with no Eggos or television. Angry at her punishment, Eleven has a psychic tantrum that shatters all the windows in the cabin. Chapter 8, Season 1, The Upside Down. As the conclusion of the first season, the final episode had to be epic. There were a lot of loose ends to tie up. Eleven was so traumatized that it took a lot for her to come face to face with the Demogorgon. Knowing she had the power to destroy it, the gifted child took it upon herself to save her friends. The downside was that she seemed to disintegrate into nothing. Meanwhile, Joyce and Hopper find Will with a tendril down his throat in the Upside Down, but manage to rescue him. Things like that don't happen every day, fictional or otherwise. There were almost too many good parts of this episode to recount. It was one heck of a cliffhanger to end on, and everyone presumed Eleven was gone forever. It was clear that she could kick some butt before this point, but the sequence really enhanced her character. It takes a lot to stand up to something that you're terrified of if you're an adult, let alone a child. Prior to her complete evisceration of the otherworldly beast, Eleven shared a touching exchange with Mike. He promised to get her a ton of Eggo waffles and said she would have her own room in his house. This was one for the books, mainly because audiences were left scratching their heads. Writers did leave us with a clue about what was to come, as we saw Hopper leaving waffles in the woods. They could only be for one person, everyone's favorite government escapee. Chapter 7, Season 2, The Lost Sister. During the whole of Season 1, the story focused purely on Eleven's abilities. However, given that she was number 11, there had to be other kids out there who'd been subjected to experiments, right? No one really put too much thought into it though, as writers give us all plenty to chew on. That's why the Season 2 opener was so great. Fans didn't see it coming. Viewers were introduced to Kali, a young girl running from the cops. She managed to evade arrest by making an officer believe a bridge had collapsed. It was a total eureka moment and a brilliant way to set the scene for the rest of the season. Kali was revealed as the same girl Eleven played with at the lab, although Eleven was taken away and Kali used her powers to eventually escape. Eleven's psychic connection with her birth mother shows her that she wasn't alone in the lab, leading her to go and look for Kali. When she finds her lost pal, she becomes part of the team of tearaways who are hell-bent on revenge. Not only did Eleven get a gothic makeover, but it was an interesting way for audiences to get a sneak peek into what life was really like for her growing up. The entire episode revolved around Eleven's relationship with Kali, which opened up her intriguing backstory even more. If there was ever a question mark around Eleven's moral code, it's wiped out with this setup, as she refused to follow Kali's orders. There was a moment there when it looked like Mike's BFF was going to pull the trigger and go down a very dangerous path. Chapter 7, Season 1, The Bathtub. Stranger Things is all about the sci-fi. The Duffer Brothers wanted to create a series that had a wow factor akin to Stephen King books. They definitely succeeded. Millie Bobby Brown stuns as a formidable girl with telekinetic abilities. In the penultimate episode of the first season, the gang ends up on the run after the bad men find them. Hawkins' lab agents track them down, pursuing them across the town in a chase. While the scientists have vans, the group has 11 on their side. Her powers are often stronger and more erratic when she's in emotional distress. In some cases, it can get completely beyond her control and become an issue, but it can also work to her advantage. A Hawkins lab van was coming at them head on as 11 clung to the back of Mike's bike, but she flipped it into the air at the last second. It was a tense episode anyway, but throwing that doozy into the mix made it all the more worthwhile. 11 cemented her status as a true telekinetic queen. How Brenner thought he had a chance is just plain ridiculous. Chapter 9, Season 2, The Gate. Steve Harrington started out on the show as the worst guy ever. As the boyfriend of Nancy and the school's resident popular guy, he was everything that people love to hate. He was nothing more than an arrogant douche. Fast forward a season though, and he's one of the best guys there is. He struck up a bond with Dustin and the rest of the crew and helps him to kick butt. Character progression is always great to see, and Steve's has been incredible. In the first season, he was punched in the face by Nancy's new love interest, Jonathan, but that was nothing compared to Season 2's throwdown. Mullet-loving bad boy Bill Hargrove sped into town as the abusive stepbrother to Max Mayfield. Steve and Billy didn't like each other from the start, but it all went nuts in one of the most action-packed episodes of the season. One of the pinnacle moments was a throwdown between the two conflicting characters. A confrontation between Max and the rest of the kids forces Steve to intervene, but it doesn't go well. It looked like Harrington was going to reign supreme, but in a bid to protect the children, he gets pounded to a pulp by Billy. It's Max that brings him to his knees by injecting him with a syringe taken from Hawkins' lab. Joyce and Nancy manage to expel the Mind Flayer from Will, and 11 closes the gate, so the Upside Down is gone for good. Or so they think. The finale also had that sweet kiss between 11 and Mike at another snowball dance. Aww. Chapter 3, Season 1, Holly Jolly. When Nancy first started dating Steve, her best friend Barb had a lot to say about it. The two weren't exactly popular themselves, so Barb was worried about Steve's intentions. She was right to be worried, but still agreed to take her BFF to the party at Steve's house. Nancy got drunk and tried to get Barb to do the same, but when she attempted to shotgun a beer, she cut her hand open. Yeah, I've been there. It's never pretty. When the rest of the group disappeared, Barb was left sitting by the pool. The scent of her blood dripping into the water attracted the Demogorgon, who seized the opportunity for a free meal and pulled Barb into the Upside Down. She tried to climb out of the dimension, but it was useless. She didn't know what was going on and ended up as a tasty snack. The world had to bear witness to the demise of this painfully innocent character, all because Nancy wanted some alone time with her new boyfriend. It was heartbreaking to see a character perish this way. Barb deserved so much better. Although she was gone from the screen, she continued to be mentioned for quite some time until her fate was revealed much later on. Shannon Purser's portrayal of the ill-fated teen went down so well that she landed parts in a slew of popular titles, including Sierra Burgess as a loser. Chapter 8, Season 2, The Mind Flayer. Poor Bob. He was such a nice guy, wasn't he? He really loved Joyce and wanted to make things work with her. He cared about her kids and was just an all-around nice guy. Unfortunately for Bob, he ended up as living proof that nice guys finish last. When the Demon Dogs invade, Joyce, Bob, Hopper, and Mike are all trapped inside Hawkins' lab in a control room. As the power went out, the entire building was on lockdown. Faced with no way to escape, Bob took it upon himself to run to the breaker room and turn the power back on. He told Hopper to get everyone out of harm's way as soon as the power went on and not to wait for him, because he's just that good. Seriously, he had a heart made of gold. Bob completed his task and was almost home and safe. Sadly, at the last second, the awful critters caught up to him and tore him to pieces. The sequence was designed to take viewers on an emotional roller coaster ride, and that it did. R.I.P. Bob Newby. I haven't been that devastated by an on-screen croaking since Ned Stark in Game of Thrones. Bob's sacrifice wasn't in vain though, as it spurs Mike and the team to conquer the evil creatures that want to take them down. As all of Will's friends share their favorite memories with him while he's out cold, Hopper realizes that he's tapping out a message. That very message is what leads them to close up the gate, hopefully banishing the Upside Down and all of its inhabitants forever. Wow, did I touch upon one of your favorite episodes? Or do you think I've missed out on something that deserves to be mentioned? Let me know down in the comments. Before you go, please give this video a big thumbs up. And you can keep up to date with everything entertainment related by hitting that subscribe button so you don't miss out on a single thing. Until next time, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.